Top 10 Dangerous Airports. Number 10. São Paulo Congonhas Airport, Brazil. Congonhas Airport is located in the center of São Paulo and surrounded by high-rise buildings. Congonhas has become infamous for the risks presented by runways, which for many years were criticized as probably the most slippery runways in the world. The bad drainage system in this case is the main danger, even for the experienced pilots. Today the airport has two runways, the length of which is 1,435 meters and 1,940 meters. Until 1985, Congonhas was the main airport of São Paulo, operating domestic flights as well as international service. Due to Congonhas' short runways, the airport was unable to accommodate most long-haul jets, and intercontinental flights required changing planes at Rio de Janeiro. Since the opening of Guarulhos Airport in 1985, international flights no longer operate from Congonhas, and domestic operations have undergone restrictions. Congonhas remains important to the city for regional and short-distance domestic flights. Number 9. Madeira Airport, Portugal. Madeira Airport, informally Funchal Airport, is an international airport in the civil parish of Santa Cruz, in the Portuguese archipelago and autonomous region of Madeira. The airport is located 13.2 kilometers east-northeast of the regional capital Funchal, after which it is sometimes informally named. It is 9th most dangerous airport in the world and the 3rd most dangerous in Europe. Pilots must undergo additional training to land at Madeira Airport. Madeira Airport is a geographically unusual airport, as it is perched on a foreland jutting out to sea. The runway is subject to almost constant exposure to fairly strong cross winds from the ocean. Surrounded by cliffs, mountains, and the ocean makes it difficult and technically demanding landing for even the most experienced pilots. Direct ILS approach and landing unavailable there. Aircraft have to do a visual approach, which involves flying around the airport, then circling around in approximately 150 degrees turn before lining up on a very short final approach. Because of the approximately 150 degrees right-hand turn required, the airport has acquired the nickname of Kai Tak Airport of Europe, a reference to the former airport of Hong Kong that also needed a right-hand turn to line up for a landing very low and close to the runway. The airport's runway is a tabletop runway, which means there are steep drop-offs at either end of the runway, a motorway at one end and a cliff at another. The runway is also unique in the fact that it is partially placed on a platform supported by pillars, similar to a beam bridge. Number 8. Tioman Airport, Malaysia. Tioman Airport, also known as Pulau Tioman Airport, is an airport serving Tioman Island, Pahang, Malaysia. The airport is considered as one of the most dangerous airports in the world. The landing at the airport is not an easy procedure, as the pilots have to head straight for a mountain and then make a quick 90-degree turn to line up with the runway. The airport's runway is one-way, as planes can only land from and take off in one direction due to nearby terrain. It also gives additional dangerous factor that airplanes cannot perform go-around procedure in 100% cases on the final approach close to or above the runway or at the stage when a plane already touched down. So pilots have to land fast and from first attempt, and only experienced pilots are required to operate flights to Tioman Airport. The runway length is 992 meters, so only the relatively small size of aircraft able to take off and land at Tioman Airport. Number 7. Svalbard Airport, Norway. It is the main airport serving Svalbard in Norway. Svalbard, also known as Spitsbergen, is a Norwegian archipelago in the Arctic Ocean, north of mainland Europe. It is about midway between the northern coast of Norway and the North Pole. Svalbard Airport is the northernmost airport in the world with scheduled public flights. The airport is surrounded by the icy ocean and massive mountains. The runway of Svalbard Airport was built on permafrost. It is insulated against the ground so it will not melt during the summer. The runway length is 2,484 meters. There are a number of challenges associated with flight operations at high latitudes. Thus, to conduct polar operations in the North Polar area, which is the region north of 78 degrees north latitude, all crew members have to pass special certification and training. Number 6. Gustaf III Airport, St. Barthélemy, Caribbean. Gustaf III Airport, also known as St. Barthélemy Airport, informally St. Barth Airport, is a public-use airport located in the village of St. Jean on the Caribbean island of St. Barthélemy, which is an overseas collectivity of France in the Caribbean. Due to its very short runway length of only 646 meters, very close proximity to automotive traffic on a nearby road, and a terrain hill starting just behind one end of the runway, Gustaf III Airport is among the most dangerous airports in the world. Pilots need a license to land at the airport. The airport is served by small regional commercial aircraft and charters. Most visiting aircraft carry fewer than 20 passengers, such as the Twin Otter. The Canadian-built de Havilland-7 is the largest aircraft ever allowed to operate at this airport. The short airstrip is at the base of a gentle slope ending directly on the beach. The arrival descent is extremely steep over the hilltop traffic circle. Departing planes fly right over the heads of sunbathers, although small signs advise sunbathers not to lie directly at the end of the runway. The most common aircraft flying in for commercial service are the Pilatus PC-12, Cessna 208B Grand Caravan, de Havilland DAC-6 Twin Otter, and Britten Norman BN-2 Islander. Number 5. Paro Airport, Bhutan. Paro International Airport is the sole international airport of the 4 airports in Bhutan. It is 6 kilometers from Paro on the bank of the river Paro-Chu. The airport is deep in a valley 2,235 meters above mean sea level and is surrounded by mountains as high as 5,500 meters. Paro Airport is considered one of the world's most challenging airports, and only 8 pilots are certified to land at the airport as of today. Flights to and from Paro are allowed under visual meteorological conditions only and are restricted to daylight hours from sunrise to sunset. Paro Airport was the only airport in Bhutan until 2011. Bhutan's first airline Drukair was established on April 5, 1981, and was the only airline company serving passenger flights to and from Paro Airport until 2010, when Buddha Air became the first international airline to operate charters to Paro. Tashi Air, Bhutan's first private airline, was started in December 2011. In 2012, it was reported that 181,659 passengers used the airport. By 2018, this number had grown to 397,599, and 6,761 flights were handled by the airport. The airport has a single 2,265 meters asphalt runway, and there is one terminal building that was commissioned in 1999. In 2021, the interior was revamped, adding many art pieces. Number 4. Ísafjörður Airport, Iceland. Ísafjörður is an airport serving Ísafjörður, a town in the Westfjords region in northwestern Iceland. Located in a fjord, the approach to the runway requires aircraft to fly close to the surrounding terrain with severe turbulent mountain waves, making it unique and one of the most scenic and challenging in the world. Approaches generally cannot be straight in for either direction, and when landing to the northeast, a full 180-degree turn must be made before touchdown. Situated at the terminus of a narrow 5-mile-long fjord, The airfield sits precariously at the base of the southern wall of the fjord with nearby elevations rising immediately to 915 meters. The airfield can only host aircraft that can operate to its 1,400 meters long runway, with the additional requirement that those aircraft can safely maneuver within the tight confines of the fjord. Another challenging factor of Ísafjörður Airport is tricky weather, including prevailing low cloud ceilings, a near subpolar oceanic climate, high winds, and frequent snowstorms. The aircraft allowed to operate at Ísafjörður Airport are low-speed capable, maneuverable aircraft such as the de Havilland Canada-A200 and the Fokker 50. Additional civil and emergency response aircraft occasionally utilize the airport. There is absolutely no maneuvering room south of the airfield and limited airspace in all other quadrants. The width of the fjord is approximately 2.4 kilometers, which is why arriving aircraft are limited to categories A and B with their lower airspeed capabilities. Night takeoffs and landings are prohibited from the airfield with the exception of search and rescue aircraft and air ambulance flights. Number 3. Juancho Yrausquin Airport, Saba. Juancho Yrausquin Airport is an airport on the Dutch Caribbean island of Saba, which is the smallest special municipality of the Netherlands. The airport was named after the Aruban minister Juancho Yrausquin and has the shortest commercial runway in the world, only 400 meters long, flanked on one side by high hills, with cliffs that drop into the sea at both ends. The airport is closed to jet traffic, but regional airline propeller aircraft are able to land there under waivers from the Netherlands Antilles Civil Aviation Authority. The most common aircraft to land there are the STOL, short takeoff and landing capable de Havilland Canada DAC-6 Twin Otter and Britain Norman BN to Islander. The only airline that has regularly scheduled flights to Saba Airport is Win Air. It's a short 12-minute flight from the island of Saint Martin. Number 2. Courchevel Altiport, France. Yes, it's called Altiport, not airport. An Altiport is an aerodrome for small airplanes and helicopters, situated on or within mountainous terrain. So Courchevel Altiport is serving Courchevel, a ski resort in the French Alps. The airfield has a very short runway of only 537 meters with a gradient of 18.6%. There is no go-around procedure for landings at Courchevel due to the surrounding mountainous terrain. The airfield primarily sees use by smaller fixed-wing aircraft such as the Cessna 208 Caravan, as well as helicopters. The runway has no instrument approach procedure or lighting aids, making landing in fog or low clouds unsafe and almost impossible. The airport is considered dangerous, as it features a difficult approach, an upward-sloping runway, and ski runs in the adjacent area. It is one of the most extreme airports in the world. Number 1. Tenzing-Hillary Airport, also known as Lukla Airport, Nepal. Lukla Airport is a domestic airport in Altiport in the town of Lukla, in Khumbu Pass in Lamu, Solakhambu district of Nepal. It gained worldwide fame as it was rated the most dangerous airport in the world for more than 20 years. The airport is popular because it is considered the starting point for treks towards Mount Everest Base Camp. There are daily flights between Lukla and Kathmandu during daylight hours in good weather. High winds, cloud cover, and changing visibility often mean flights can be delayed or the airport closed. The airport's paved asphalt runway is accessible only to helicopters and small fixed-wing, short takeoff and landing aircraft. The runway is 527 meters long with an 11.7% gradient. The airport's elevation is 2,845 meters. The airport is used for passenger flights and for transporting most of the building materials and cargo to Lukla and other towns and villages to the north of Lukla, as there is no road to this region. The airport regularly closes from mid to late morning due to the strong southwest winds that create crosswind and tailwinds. Consequently, flights are usually scheduled for the early morning. Sudden loss of visibility preventing planes from landing under visual flight rules will result in the immediate closure of the airport with no warning. Although the airport is available throughout the year, visibility problems close the airport 50% of the time during the monsoon season. Due to the terrain and the low possibility of a safe go-around for a missed approach, there are no go-around procedures for this airport. There is high terrain immediately beyond the northern end of the runway, and a steeply angled drop at the southern end of the runway into the valley below. Tenzing-Hillary Airport is frequently referred to as the most dangerous airport in the world. The Civil Aviation Authority of Nepal sets high standards for the pilots to be allowed to land at the airport. Only experienced pilots, who have completed at least 100 short takeoff and landing missions, have over 1 year of STOL experience in Nepal, and have completed 10 flights into Lukla with a certified instructor pilot, are allowed to land at the airport. Bonus. Asua Airport, Papua Province, Indonesia. The village of Asua is located in a mountain range of the Star Mountains, the eastern end of highland Papua Province of Indonesia. Living literally on top of a mountain, the inhabitants of Asua built a landing strip by hand to break their isolation, as there is no road to this region. The runway is 310 meters long and has a gradient of 21%, so it is only suitable for short takeoff and landing aircraft and pilots with nerves of steel.